Minnesota's second longest game, or I should say this was their longest playoff game since 2003 against the Anaheim Ducks. But Ryan Hartman, a guy who's been battling injuries, or I should say he wasn't 100%, according to what has been reported. He scored a game-winning goal in the second overtime. But now we got Dallas is holding their breath on Joe Pavelski. As we know, Pavelski is a different animal in the postseason. So we have to wait and see what happens if he'll be playing for game two.
The big hit by Dumba on Pavelski, that's going to be a game changer and a series changer, to be honest, because look, Pavelski, we know what he can do in the playoffs. We know he's had history before of concussions, and we saw him go down when he was with San Jose as well. So this is going to be a series changer because Pavelski is the heartbeat of that Stars team. We saw what he did in the bubble. We've seen what he's done in other playoff runs. That's going to be killer for them if he can't come back. But to me, the Dumba hit, look, it's part of hockey. That's a clean hit. If we say it came up high, it was shoulder to shoulder. Was it a little late? Sure. But you know what? That's part of hockey. That's part of the playoffs. Ryan Hartman, what a game for him. And it was a bad turnover in the Dallas Stars zone. Look, it's always safe play to come in the corner, but the way it ricocheted, it just came right out to Hartman, beats Ottinger. And that was a great goalie battle, to be honest. Ottinger and Philip Gustafsson. Gustafsson, 52 saves in his debut with the Wild, in his debut in the playoffs. Longest overtime in Wild franchise history, double OT. And of course, we're going to have overtime in the first night of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We have to. So what a game. But Minnesota takes one on the road because, let's be honest, the Dallas Stars power play was clicking on all cylinders. If it wasn't for Stam Steele, I think Dallas takes game one.
Yeah, and now Dallas has to respond for game two. They had to. It's a must win for them. And if Joe Pavelski can play game two, they're going to have to rely on their other guys. Mintz, Robertson scored. Both of them, they did in this game. They did what they had to do. But like you said, Joe Pavelski is the heartbeat of that team. And the city of Dallas is holding on to their breaths and hoping that he can go on in this series. But now let's go into that Devils versus Rangers. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Rangers fan. Jim is a Devils fan, but it's respectable between us. And one thing I told Jim outside before we even recorded this is that it would have been much better if this was the Eastern Conference Finals instead of the first round. But we had to take whatever we can get. So the Devils did handle the Rangers in the regular season, but the playoffs is a whole different season. And I feel that the Devils, they're lacking playoff experience compared to the Rangers. And the Devils, they're missing like that Scott Stevens kind of player in their roster. So someone who could bring that leadership to a whole different level, to be that locker room presence. So I feel that the Rangers, I'm gonna go with, this is not to be biased, but I'm gonna go with Rangers in 6 games for this series. I feel that the Devils will give them a run for their money. And I could be proven wrong because, like I said, this is a Devils team that doesn't have too much experience in the playoffs. But hey, whether you're inexperienced or experienced, it's all about who's gonna answer the bell.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever's going to answer the bell. And look, this Devils teams are rebels. They're rebels with a cause because they've bucked the system all year. Nobody expects them to be here. Nobody expects them to win the series, yet they're the betting line favorite. All the pressure's on the Rangers. The Rangers were the Eastern Conference Final last year. They have all the playoff experience. But Gerard Gallant made a great comment yesterday. He's like, well, we really didn't have a lot of playoff experience last year. Pittsburgh had all the playoff experience, and we beat them. Look, the Devils, Dougie Hamilton back there, they brought in Andre Palat. This is the reason why they bring him in. Jack Hughes, you got Nico Hischier, Timo Meyer up front. Look, the Devils, yeah, they may not have a lot of playoff experience, but guess what? What do you got to lose? Go out, guns blazing, play your system. The Rangers have the edge in goaltending. Igor Shesterkin. Defensively, they're probably a little bit better. Look, the Devils and Rangers played a close regular season series. Every game was 1 goal. These teams, whatever it is in the playoffs, they always take the best out of each other. It's going to be really good. I think the one thing that's going for the Devils is at least they don't have to start on the road in Madison Square Garden. I think they can get their feet under them. Game one at home at Prudential Center. That's a little bit better for them, but still it's not going to be easy. If they can limit the power play chances of the Rangers, it's off to a good start. And I think getting the first goal, getting the crowd into it, I think it's going to be to their advantage.
I have been to so many arenas, and it's crazy that as a New Yorker, I still haven't been to the Prudential Center. I've been to the Garden, but I haven't been to the Prudential Center. I've been close to it. I've passed by it. Not me driving, but like cab service, like I passed through it. But hopefully next season, I'll catch a Devils game over the Prudential Center. But yes, that I agree. They have home field in this series, so the Devils will have to take advantage and get those wins at home. The Rangers, they got better compared to last year, especially with the acquisitions they made in the trade deadline. So, but we're in for a fun series. So, this is hockey. Unpredictability happens.
It does. Unpredictability happens. Look, I go back to the early 90s. I think it was like 92. They played in the first round. The Rangers were supposed to crush the Devils. It went 7 games. You don't play the game on paper. You play it on ice. And we know what these teams can do. They play each other so well. It's always a tough series. It'll probably age me 10 years. I have a couple heart attacks because you just want to beat the other team. Obviously, it's fun rivalry. We always banter with each other. I think the Devils can pull this one out, but it may go the distance because that's what the Rangers tend to do in the playoffs. They like to play 7 games. And in New Jersey, I think they can get it done. Again, let's see what happens. Let's see, after game 1. But again, it's game 1. It's a long series, so let's see what happens.
Now, last but not least, and this is one of my favorite matchups: Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs. The pressure's on the Maple Leafs. Let's be honest. The Lightning, they won the Stanley Cup twice. They were in the finals last year. They know what it takes to win. The Maple Leafs hasn't won a playoff series since 2004. They haven't won the cup in God knows how long. It's been so many. It's been so long, but I feel that this is, since the early 2000s, this is the most talented Maple Leafs team since the early 2000s that I can recall. They have so many weapons. They're better than last year. They have more depth. I do feel like they should have been the Lightning last year, but they dropped the ball. If I will say this, if the Maple Leafs go to 7 games, I'm taking Tampa's gonna win, because Andrei Vasilevskiy he shuts you down when it comes to elimination games. So I feel like that's the one guy that they fear on ice, Andrei Vasilevskiy. But I'm gonna say Maple Leafs in 6. I could be wrong because the Lightning, they will fight till the end. Yes, they battle injuries all season long, but again, you never want to underestimate the heart of a champion.
Look, the Tampa Bay Lightning have come out of the East 3 years in a row. They're the defending Eastern Conference champs. They won 2 Stanley Cups. They played a lot of hockey. They're the most vulnerable they've been through this run because Tanner Jeannot's hurt. Ryan McDonough's not there. Jan Ruda's not there. Defensively, they're not as good. Yeah, Mikhail Sergachev's played well, but there's a lot of hockey on those bodies. A lot of skating. Yeah, Braden Point's healthy, great, but they don't have Andre Palat, who's been a big key. Yes, Andrei Vasilevskiy in closeout games in series. Look, last year from the 3rd period on through Game 7, he had a .970 save percentage. Yeah, Toronto choked it away. But Toronto's team is different this year, and they're playing with more speed. They have Ryan O'Reilly. They have better depth. They have guys who've been there before, been through the trenches. The locker room's different. There's a belief. If they don't get it done this year, I don't know when they're ever going to get it done because this is the best chance they have since they played the Canadiens. And I think if they just learn to have that killer instinct and close out a series, they can win and maybe make a deep run. I mean, the last time they won a cup was 1967. It's been a very, very long time for this team. And the city of Toronto and all the hockey world is going to be on this because everybody's probably picking Tampa, though Toronto could get this done and has the tools to get it done if they take advantage of a weak penalty kill. Just play with speed, make them work, and let your fourth line do what their fourth line's supposed to do, is that bang away. Let Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and all those guys. And that's a guy for me who needs to have a big series, is Mitch Marner, because he's been under scrutiny in the playoffs the last couple of years.
I agree. And I have a question for you. What do you think about Ryan O'Reilly? He's been talked a lot about his situation in Toronto. So what do you think is going to happen with O'Reilly in this series?
Yeah, I think O'Reilly's going to have a good series. He's a playoff performer. We know it. He steps up. Look what he did during that run, 2019 with the Blues. Especially if the team gets down, they're facing adversity. You have a calming voice in the locker room. Like a guy that's been there, a leader. Yeah, he might not have a letter on his sweater, but he's been there. He knows what it takes to win a Stanley Cup. Just calming voice. Even if they're just trailing in a game, it's just something to have there. They have guys. They have better depth. Like I said, Marner has to play well. Nylander has to play well. The big guns have to be their big guns. When it comes down, the depth scoring matters. But when Tampa won, Colorado won, when these teams won, their big names stepped up and scored goals when it matters. And if the Leafs goaltending is better than Vasilevsky, they're going to win the series. Look, we know Vasilevsky can steal games. But if Toronto can get to him, and this Lightning team has shown they can be scored upon, then edge Toronto.